Well, good morning, everybody. Look at this. Wiss said Headache City. I was just talking to Angel P about that. You can tell my voice is a little off. You might hear some sneezing and some coughing. We actually had rain on Wednesday. We haven't had any rain since like the middle of September. But we have all these leaves around. Good morning, Melanie. How are you, girlfriend? Pat K. Hey, Pat K. Hashtag WWPD. What would Pat do? So we have all these leaves and everything. They're fungusy. They're moldy. And so I'm just waiting for the next rain to come through because I can barely breathe. I sound like Hannibal Lecter in Silence of the Lambs. I'm like, or Darth Vader. It's ridiculous. So let's take a second and tell everyone good morning. So glad you are here. Kelly, the OG, said, so glad you're doing this about the Runaway. It's so confusing. We're going to have to really talk about this. And I want to hear from all of you. Obviously, none of us in here are on the case, if you know what I mean. None of us are. We don't have access to the files. We don't have people's phone numbers. Well, I mean, some of you might. But what came out the last few days, and remember, I'm a little behind the 8 ball because we, for the last 2 weeks, have been going through Quentin's trial. But when I saw that come out, really blew my mind because it came from Seth's people. That he's believed to be alive. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. And thank goodness for Connie, mama of 2 boys. Thank you for the super sticker. It's what I'm talking about. Thank you so much. Just a lot going on that I cannot piece together. Now, all the riffraff and, the BS, I don't really get into it. I didn't get into it with Summer, and I'm not getting into it with this case. What I do know is according to Seth's people, there is a 15-year-old boy out there that is endangered. He ran away from home. He needs to be found. But on the other side, certain people don't want anyone to search. Please make it make sense to me. Endangered runaway, but we'll sue your ass if you talk about him, and we don't want anyone searching. Again, I can't make sense of it. But let's catch up. How was your Halloween last night? How was your Halloween? I think we had a good, I started to say like 50, 60 trick-or-treaters. I got a workout running to the door. My neighbor across the street, she was like, oh no, there was 100. And I said, okay, even 100. Good for you. You can guess who I'm talking about. And so it was fun. These costumes get more inventive every year. They were cracking me up. This little girl comes to the house. She looked about, I'd say 3, 4 years old. And I would open the door, and of course, there's OJ laying on the rug, and he's a big old black cat, okay? And I'm giving her candy, because I gave out Gatorade too, because the kids get hot running around. And it was like 79 degrees last night, and they're in those hot-ass costumes. It's feast or famine on Halloween. It's either cold, It's like Easter. It's either cold and you got to cover up with your coats and everything, or you're dripping sweat. So this little girl, I mean, no bigger. I mean, she comes up to, a cricket's knee. She's a little thing. She sees OJ and she goes, "A panther?" She goes, "You have a panther?" And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to break her heart and say, nah, he's just an asshole cat. So I picked him up, but I wasn't about to let her pet him because you never know what mood he's going to be in. So many people were like, oh, she has a black cat. He looks like a panther. It was hilarious. I had so much fun. I really did. OJ, not so much, because he was just like, hey, where'd y'all get the money, to hand out free shit? What's going on? I've got things around here I need. But that's how he is. It was hilarious. This one costume is one of those inflatables. And I don't know how in the world this boy was walking around with this thing. I can't even tell you what the costume was. But I mean, it was huge. And all the parents were dressed up. I didn't really need a costume. Last year, I dressed up as Candace Wells. I didn't wash my hair. I smoked that day. I might have drank some whiskey. If anyone got a call from me last year on Halloween, will you let me know if I was drinking whiskey? I don't remember. I put on a pair of Greg's basketball shorts, one of his t-shirts. I had a bunch of quarters with me because, it's like a coin pusher uniform. Had a pair of my husband's socks up to my knees and a pair of his shoes. So, yeah. But this year I was Peg Bundy. Easy for me to do because I got trashy clothes and I wear my makeup way too bright, according to some people. So, we'll see if it was a hit or a miss. I don't know. But again, Connie, thank you so much for the super sticker. Me, love you, long time. I'm going to use that to get me some sinus medicine. My goodness. So I hope everybody had a very happy and safe Halloween. Oh, hold on. Peach State Mama. We are going to a Halloween party tomorrow. It's the White Trash Bash theme. Girl, send me some pictures. Invite me. Oh, Jean Annie said, my grandson wore an inflatable dog. That's what this little boy had on. She said, and halfway through the night, we had to change his costume. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was like, how is he walking around in that? But no, it's super cute. But I think the parents were more inventive with their costumes than some of the kids. I mean, it's nuts. I saw a man and a woman that was a salt and pepper shaker. This one little boy, I'm not getting into politics. He was about 4 years old and he was Trump. He had the wig. He had the suit. He was even trying to talk like him. I was rolling. I was laughing so hard. All right, well, let's get to it. Endangered Runaway is what Seth's people are saying. Now remember, I am not on either side for these parents. All I know is law enforcement says it's not a criminal investigation. We haven't heard that yet. Just because the FBI is involved doesn't mean there was a crime. Investigation doesn't always mean crime. It can mean a lot of other things. Law enforcement. Not a criminal investigation. No evidence of foul play. Okay? Now, I don't know exactly how long it takes, not my forte, to investigate this damn game console they keep talking about. But that seems to be something they are concentrating on, in my opinion. And I would think after 8 months, because it's been 8 months, it should be a criminal investigation. It should. That's just my opinion. But Dwayne, Dog Chapman, you know him as Dog the Bounty Hunter. He blew this up on Twitter. He said, Dog Nation. Sebastian, Wayne, Drake Rogers, an endangered runaway, is still presumed alive. Okay, where did this information come from? Not that it's bad news, okay? But they're saying no kidnapping. It's not bad news at all that Sebastian's still alive. I have seen some commenters going, no way he's alive. I know Katie and Chris killed him. I know they did. And I'm like, ugh. Look, I'm not saying Dog knows either, but he's a little more on the inside than me. Okay? If you have information, call me. 833-TELL-DOG. Well, it's up to people who they want to call with a tip. But he says he's an endangered runaway. Endangered runaway. Now, the FBI isn't going to put up 50 grand for something that they think is just a runaway. Is this a trafficking situation? I don't know. I don't know. Nick, I cannot pronounce this last name. People call him Nick the Hat. Again, he says Sebastian is an endangered runaway. He is presumed to be alive. So he gives this phone number to call with tips. 844-922-FAFO, which means fuck around and find out. Now, if you see my banner at the bottom that's scrolling, I'm asking people with any information to please call the TBI. Or you can just Google the FBI number. Doesn't bother me. With credible information, and there is a $50,000 reward offered from the FBI. I'm not here to vouch for anything else. All right, so now we have another problem. I don't know what the hell she's holding. Okay, Seth seems to have an issue with Stephen Crabtree and other people searching for Sebastian. Listen, if he's an endangered runaway, and that's what they know, that's what they've been told, that's what the information is, you would want everybody and their dog, no pun intended, searching for him. Okay? We've had Stephen on the show. He's a nice guy. But Seth says Crabtree needs to go spend time with his autistic son instead of being on TikTok. Well, I guess he uses the TikTok when he's doing his searches. I don't know Stephen that well. Yeah, I got to take this banner down so I can see the rest of it. He said, in my opinion, I'm just saying. Listen. Has anyone thought that possibly Stephen is so vested because he has an autistic son? Possibly. But you can't tell people not to search. You can't. It doesn't work that way. Matter of fact, law enforcement highly encouraged people to search. Search your pool, search your property, search your barns, whatever. You know, your sheds out there, everything. That'd be like them saying, hey, if you happen to see Sebastian, don't call our asses. Don't bother us with it. So I don't know where this don't search stuff is coming from. But it's maddening. It's just more internet BS. Let's get to, well, here we go. Believe it or not, it's been over 8 months now.
Well, it's been 8 months since 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers was last seen at his home in Hendersonville. This morning, the search continues for the missing young man.
That's right. Jackson Pidgeot joins us now with the latest from officials this morning.
Well, Allie and Blake, unfortunately, Sumner County law enforcement officials have not reported any new information on the case. You may remember back on February 26th, Sebastian seemingly vanished from his home in the area of Stafford Court in Hendersonville. An Amber Alert was issued the very next day and remains active this morning. Here are photos of Sebastian. He's described as 5'5".
Okay, I see a couple of people in here arguing a little bit, saying, oh no, he wants people to search. He wants people to search. That could be it. But you can't tell someone to get off TikTok and spend time with their child when you're on TikTok. You can't be a hypocrite and say, he should get off of TikTok and go spend time with his autistic son. You know, what the hell is going on here? He's on TikTok. That'd be like saying, touche, my dude. Then you get off and you go search for yours. Your child is missing. You're on TikTok telling someone to get off TikTok. You've got to be kidding me. I have no name said I would only call TBI or FBI. I wouldn't dare call Dog or Nick. Seth needs anger management. To be quite honest, counseling wouldn't hurt. It really wouldn't. Because just imagine the emotions and everything he's going through. He's got a lot of people in his ear. He's got a lot of people in his ear. And I think what's very offensive to people with autistic children is the fact that some of the people that speak on his behalf, I'm going to get killed for saying this, by the way. Just wait. Just wait. They dumb Sebastian down to where he's almost an infantile. They won't acknowledge that many, many, many people with autism have a higher than normal IQ. Higher than normal. And I mean, I know there's a lot of drama and stuff going on. So what I like to do is I like just cut to the chase. You know, I know a lot of people are into that stuff. And hey, the internet's a big place and there's a lot of bullshit to watch. However, it is hurtful to people who are autistic themselves, have autistic children. And there's only a few people that can set the record straight. One would be the Foot Socks side, and the other is Seth. Because they make it sound like Sebastian couldn't find his ass with two hands and a flashlight. And it's very sad. It's very sad. And all of these things are out about the essay, the family dynamics, how Seth and Katie got together. Oh, I had a crazy comment, by the way, from someone that said, you need to check your facts because Katie's family has come out and said that she didn't meet Seth till she was 19. What? She had Sebastian when she was 19. She got pregnant with Sebastian when she was 18. According to Seth and his mom, Robin. She had two procedures, if you know what I mean, before she was 18. Her family came out and said this? The same family that went to jail for what they did to her? I mean, my goodness. So, I mean, I don't know why Seth kept talking about all these procedures and why his mom talked about procedures before she was 18. Hell, I don't know. I wasn't there. Oh, hold on. Blue eyes. Oh, honey. Y'all, we got to give some prayers for Blue Eyes. Her nephew passed away. I am so sorry for you. I'm so sorry. You know, and not that it makes it, any worse or any better, but always around the holidays, these things happen to our families.
Well, it's been 8 months since 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers was last seen at his home in Hendersonville. This morning, the search continues for the missing young man.
That's right. Jackson Fidget joins us now with the latest from officials this morning.
Well, Allie and Blake, unfortunately, Sumner County law enforcement officials have not reported any new information on the case. You may remember back on February 26th, Sebastian seemingly vanished from his home in the area of Stafford Court in Hendersonville. An Amber Alert was issued the very next day and remains active this morning. Here are photos of Sebastian. He's described as 5'5", weighing 120 pounds with dirty blonde hair. He was last seen wearing a black sweatsuit and glasses. Officials say he has a medical condition that may impair his ability to return home safely. Crews have searched thousands of miles, including across state lines, using drones, helicopters, horses, search dogs, and dive teams with no sightings of the 15-year-old.
Maybe it's time, just my opinion, to expand the horizon and get out of the same area. Again, just my opinion. Instead of just searching this one circle and putting flyers in the same area, you don't need to put flyers in the Proudfoot's neighborhood. There isn't a neighbor there that hadn't been tossed and turned over. They know Sebastian's missing. I personally would take my search further out. But hey, that's just me.
We last talked to Sebastian's biological father, Seth. He told us he has not stopped searching for his son.
As a father, you realize that a lot of things that you do in life is for your children. And when they just go missing, the only thing you think about is trying to find them.
Miss North's musing. Shame on you for spouting facts from Seth's own mouth. He met her at 15, claimed to never lay a finger on her until she was 18. Yet she had several procedures prior to her having Sebastian. Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. I do. Because it is what he said back in the beginning. It's 100% what he said back in the beginning. And his mother confirmed it. And that's when they called her crazy on Pascal's channel. I do appreciate your comment. I do. And I know some people say it's not anyone's business. I prefer to think that in our society, it is our business when an adult is messing. That's the only thing I can say on YouTube with a minor child. Okay? That'd be like someone saying it's not our business that Stephen Stearns was taking horrible pictures and doing horrible things to Madeline because it wasn't our business. All I know is what Seth has said and what his mother has said. Oh, yeah, she's fine. Miss North's musing, yeah, she's fine. That's all I know. I wasn't there.
Not stopped searching for his son.
As a father, you realize that a lot of things that you do in life is for your children. And when they just go missing, the only thing you think about is trying to find them, bringing them home. Everything else is really not important.
Again, Sebastian remains at the center of an Amber Alert, with the FBI offering a $50,000 reward for information, and Dwayne Chapman, also known as Dog the Bounty Hunter, adding $75,000 to that, raising it to a total of $125,000. Sebastian is currently one of 9 active missing child alerts from the TBI. Anyone with any information is asked to call 1-800-TBI-FIND. Blake?
And I really hope people stick with the 800 TBI find and give things to actual detectives. V. Oakley said, but we know that the Stephen Stone stuff is true. Oh, true. And I'm not here to pick a fight. I just can't unring a bell. You know what I mean? You just can't unring a bell. You know, and the truth is Katie was the only one home. That's the only thing that we know is true. We have had no verification that Chris was home. None. Except in that last news clip, and I meant to pause it and bring it up, the news reporter said his stepfather and mother said that he just left that night. Well, what do we have? We have another Don Wells poor historian. You can't say what you don't know. If you weren't there, you don't know. And he's 15. He's not 5. 15. Not 5, not 5 months. And it's offensive AF. I have a very good friend. And I have a child in my family that has autism. They're very functional. Extremely. But there's certain people trying to make it sound like he doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground. And I'm just not digging that. Now, let's go through this because, again, Dog and Nick the Hat are saying Sebastian is believed to be alive. Thank goodness. He's an endangered runaway. It has happened before. I'm not saying it's the case now. Again, this is discussion.
Her son had gone missing for almost 3 years, but his mother never lost hope. And now that hope has turned to joy as Connor Jack Oswalt was found nearly 700 miles away from his home. Jim Murray spoke with the teenager's parents who spent this past weekend celebrating what many understandably would consider an Easter miracle.
Morning.
Deputies are about to make an astonishing discovery. This down-on-his-luck young man is freezing.
You want to come sit in his car and warm up for a minute?
The police found him outside a gas station on a frigid night near the swanky resort town of Park City, Utah.
Okay, this kid, yeah, he's a kid, 700 miles away from home. Police went up to him and realized he was an endangered runaway. I'm not saying Sebastian is, but that's what Seth's people are saying. Hey, Miss K. So when my dumbass says things like, well, how the hell far away can he get on foot? Looks like it's happened several times before. Again, you're always in good hands around here. No experts up in this crawl.
Astonishing discovery. This down-on-his-luck young man is freezing.
You want to come sit in his car and warm up for a minute?
The police found him outside a gas station on a frigid night near the swanky resort town of Park City, Utah. As he gets into the sheriff's car to escape the cold, the deputies try to find out more about him. They took his fingerprints in the car and then did some more digging and realized something extraordinary. He seemed to be a match for a teenager who'd been reported missing nearly 3 years ago. Could the teen seen shivering outside the gas station be this young man, Connor Jack Oswalt, who vanished from his home in Clear Lake, California in 2019 when he was 16? He'd been diagnosed with autism. The sheriff's office contacted the missing teen's family, and his stepfather drove to Utah. That's him in the green shirt. The boy's mother is listening over the phone.
Is it him?
A little bit older, but yeah.
Mom is filled with joy.
My sweetheart's alive.
Her tears flow.
Oh my God. He's my baby, you know?
I spoke to Sue and Jerry Flint today. Did you ever give up hope that you would find him?
No.
Yeah.
I never stopped looking.
Every day.
You don't know how many times I've dreamed of that call or just opening the door and he was there.
Not much is known about where Connor Jack has been these last 3 years. We do know he made his way from California to Nevada before finally ending up in Park City, 700 miles away from home. Summit County Sheriff Justin Martinez says everyone was moved.
I bet they were. Miss North Musing said Sebastian, highly functional. 2 SE classes. The rest were normal classes. He had some behavioral issues, was probably far too trusting of strangers because he just wanted friends online. I'm glad you brought that up because, again, I don't work in that department. But how the hell long does it take to search this game console? How long? And let me tell you what, when I go to sleep, I'm asleep. There has to be either my bladder about to erupt or some sort of huge disturbance. Because we know all the creaks and the cracks in our house. If you're used to storms, hell, I can sleep through a tornado. But somebody just opening the door ain't gonna wake me up. No. If Katie had been in the wine, she could easily have been asleep and just not known that he left. Tropicana said, Brooks, did you know that Seth was the only one with life insurance on Sebastian? Makes me a bit sus. We get life insurance at my husband's work. Nobody took insurance out on anybody. Nobody takes, and especially with a state job. So not arguing with you, that just kind of comes with the job, if you know what I mean. And if his people are saying that he's endangered, he's a runaway, and they believe him to be alive, well, that life insurance isn't worth shit unless he's got some whole life policy that he can borrow against.
By the homecoming.
Everybody in that room was a parent. And how could you not be that emotional?
What the sheriffs did is incredible. It was like winning $1 billion.
The family have been hoping to have Connor Jack home before his birthday next month, and they have gotten their wish.
700 miles. Wow. Wow. And Stacy, wow to you. Thank you for the Crime Lines and Lies membership. Who got it? Amanda. Thank you. Thank you. Woo, Amanda. Tell her girl Stacy, thank you. And get your umbrella. All right. Also on the local news in Nashville, we know this RICO thing has gone out. Doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm not an attorney. And I thought that had to do with organized crime. Anyhow, it's gone out. We have injunctions. An injunction is not a lawsuit. It's a warning, like a cease and desist. It's an STFU. Shut the front door. Or shut the fuck up. A protective order is a public record, but you're not going to have a problem unless you violate it. It would take me 2 seconds to not violate one. I'd be like, yeah, I'll never be in your county again. Okay? I'm good over here. But this was shared in our group on Facebook. We don't have a group for Sebastian, but the Crime Lines and Lies Facebook group, you know, good old Jonathan always knows how to come in like the Kool-Aid man. I don't know if you all saw this in the group or if you're in there, but look at this.
We might just get hit with the Rico. We might just get hit with the Rico. Yo, Seth Rogers trying to hit me with the Rico, but he doesn't know I'm the king of the Rico. Might just get hit with the Rico. We might just get hit with the Rico. I might just get hit with the Rico. But will Seth get hit with the Rico? I'm the king of the Rico. King of the Rico. King of the Rico. JLR, the king of the Rico.
Oh my gosh. I died laughing when I saw that. Died laughing. And I really hope this isn't this woman's O face. Okay? Britt, my girl Britt goes, is this real life? I have to pinch myself on the daily. I do. Absolutely. All right. So Stephen Fisher, who also worked in the Kylie Rodney case. I don't remember what other cases that he's worked on. He's a private investigator out of LA. And he responded to what he was sent.
The father of missing 15-year-old Sebastian Rogers and reality TV star Dog the Bounty Hunter are filing an injunction against several people who are searching for Sebastian right now. Seth Rogers joined Dwayne Dog Chapman's injunction request, which cites interference and obstruction as a reason for the filing. Stephen Fisher filed an opposition to the request, saying he is the only licensed private investigator involved in the search for the missing boy. He claims that Chapman's company has not set foot in Tennessee and said they used unlicensed personnel and illegal tactics to gain information in cases. You have been looking at multiple pictures here of Sebastian Rogers. The young man went missing nearly 8 months ago.
Sebastian just has such a sweet face, sweet smile. He's one of those people that he smiles with his whole face. Okay? Sweet eyes, and I think he's smarter than the average bear is what I think. And so when I saw this on Twitter from Nick the Hat and from Dog saying he's presumed alive, who told them that? Have they spoken with law enforcement? Because that's a bold statement to put out. He's presumed to be alive.
Looking at multiple pictures here of Sebastian Rogers. The young man went missing nearly 8 months ago now. His mother and stepfather said he left their Hendersonville home in February and never returned.
Okay. Again, we hear it. Mother and stepfather say he walked out of the house and never returned home. What on earth is going on? And yeah, of course we want him to be alive. Just Me said, your microphone is cutting in and out. Where's OJ? Because I keep having to turn my head to sneeze and cough. I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me okay? Speaking of, where is OJ? OJ's laying in the corner. Thank you, Britt. Sounds like someone actually witnessed him walk out. But again, Chris Proudfeets, if he wasn't there, can't be the historian. Michelle says, am I blocked? No, girl, I see you. I see you, girlfriend. Sophia, are you sick too, Brooks? Oh, just some congestion. It's just a cold. All right, this is from a channel that I enjoy. It is called, it says I'm not subscribed. You know, that pisses me off to no end. Why does YouTube unsubscribe people? I don't get it. This is from our girl Tia. And I love when people find old news clips. Reason being is all the answers are in the beginning. The answers are in the beginning. They're not with the bullshit. They're not with the, you know, you see these channels that go, oh, what about Sebastian? Isn't Sebastian important? We should only talk about Sebastian. But they're the same people that are drumming up the nonsense. Zeke Alley said, anything that goes against their agenda, they will censor and mess with you. I've had ample warning. But thank you for the heads up. Okay, remember, on this channel, I don't do the Team Seth and Team Proudfeet, because all I know is law enforcement says they have no evidence of foul play. Trust me, I can think outside the box. But me outside the box is he's 15 with an IQ higher than most and didn't exactly have what I would call a good home life. He wanted friends. He wanted socialization. He wanted to do things that he wasn't allowed to do.
Understand is why they were telling people not to search at one point. I mean, the shift went to the landfill. It was this investigation, and they're telling people not to search. I couldn't make sense of that. I mean, it made me wonder, do you have any indication that investigators may know that something bad happened here?
They haven't told me anything, and they told people not to search, but I've been searching since that Monday. I can't.
Okay, this is a really important interview. This is a really important interview, and we can tell anyone that's followed true crime for more than 30 seconds, we can tell that they are treating this as a runaway case. I'm not the investigator. I'm not in the FBI. I'm not in the TBI. I'm not. I do think TBI probably needs to step it up with missing child's cases. I did a show several months ago where I said it's disgusting to label a child as just a runaway. Because I can just see some old fat boss hog behind his desk with a cigar going, they just ran away. They just ran away. Shut up. If there is a child not in your home, they are missing. They are missing. You can figure out the who, what, when, and where later, but they are missing. So the question is, you have News Daddy here talking to Seth. And he says, they've been telling people not to search. Who is they? We've heard this before in Summer's case. Oh, they told people not to search. They told people not to search. Yet you have press conference after press conference after press conference saying, listen, if you physically can't search yourself, we'll come out and do it for you. And in my opinion, Miss K read my mind. Nothing is off the table until your child is found. Exactly. No one's going to tell anyone not to search. No. Not possible. I mean, I felt bad for Trevor, Chloe, the PI, Heather, the PI, what Terry Lynn has been through. I felt bad for all of them. Hold on. When they got railroaded, when they were searching. It's not a popularity contest. Who doesn't want him found? That's the question. Is somebody seriously hiding him out somewhere? No, I'm not saying Katie. No, I'm not saying Chris. No, I'm not saying Seth. What is going on here?
Bad happened here?
They haven't told me anything, and they told people not to search, but I've been searching since that Monday. I can't just sit around and not do anything. I've got to find my son.
Yeah, I understand. I would be doing the same exact thing as you, and I think everybody around America would be, and their hearts go out to you.
I was recently watching some older news footage about Sebastian Rogers and came across an interview Seth Rogers did with News Nation. One thing that really stood out to me is that the interviewer mentioned people were told not to search for Sebastian. He didn't directly say it was law enforcement that said this, but it felt like that's what they were hinting at. It makes me wonder, who exactly told people not to search? Was it law enforcement, or was it Chris and Katie, or someone else entirely?
That's my question. Who is telling people not to search? I didn't say this. Seth said they said not to search. Well, who is they? I hate when people say things like that. I hate when people say things like that. You know, you talk to people and they're like, well, everyone said. Everyone said. Okay, look, there's like 3 billion people on this planet. So you're telling me 3 billion people said it? Gotta be kidding me. No. No. They. Well, who's they? Who is they that said not to search for this boy? Who? I don't like that. Specific. In a case like this, you have an endangered runaway, according to Seth's team. An endangered runaway that is presumed to be alive. Who on earth would say don't search for him?
In the early days of this investigation, law enforcement asked neighbors to check their properties, sheds, fields, and ponds. So why would they later say not to search? That seems really backward to me. I also want to make it clear that I don't support any of the parents involved here. Chris and Katie have acted in some really strange ways, especially packing up and leaving the house while Sebastian is still missing. On the other hand, Seth has sent cease and desist letters to content creators. It gets even weirder. Just 3 days after Sebastian went missing, Seth's sister started a GoFundMe to help him pay his bills. Plus, he's been associating with Bullhorn Betty, who I personally think is a grifter.
Okay, people's opinion about Bullhorn Betty, not getting into it. Z Callie, so glad you're here. We have a lot of new names in here, you guys. Let's show everybody the couch and how we do things around here. Because I love to have you here every day. This is very important to remember. Nobody has been cleared. And their words, not ours. CP and KP were the last ones to see Sebastian. They have acted shady. They haven't searched. I don't know if they've searched or not. I don't know if they've searched or not. Nope. We have not seen them, any pictures or anything, except for the time that no-ass Chris went to confront Seth at that one vigil. They took off to Mississippi. Katie's dumbass is sitting there telling Nancy Grace, well, we're here because, you know, Sebastian could be anywhere. Makes you wonder if they're not hiding him out. Because, I mean, this information came from somewhere. This all hit Twitter. These are Seth's people. Endangered, runaway, presumed alive. This one, again, endangered, runaway, presumed alive.
She seems to have turned this case into a circus. But I also have my doubts about law enforcement in this case. There's no solid proof that they favor the Proudfoots, but there are rumors about it. I just hope they're doing everything they can to find Sebastian, regardless of their relationship with the parents. Still, the fact that someone told people not to search makes me uneasy. I think I remember hearing that soon after Sebastian went missing, the searches were toned down or stopped because he's autistic. The worry was that calling his name during searches might cause him distress. Now, I might be mixing this up with another case, but if that's true, then who made that decision? Why would they stop searching for him if he's missing? Seth, being Sebastian's father, should be the one to voice concerns if he thought searches would confuse his son. But he's actively asked for help from a search and rescue organization, which adds another layer of confusion. Did Katie and Chris tell law enforcement that too many searches would confuse Sebastian? I'm just speculating here, but if they did, it raises even more questions. If Chris and Katie told law enforcement that calling Sebastian's name would bewilder him, then how on earth did he manage to be in a school? Not to sound rude or anything, but let's face it, schools are loud, and kids are always playing and screaming. Or was the entire school supposed to adapt to accommodate him? Were all the kids around him expected to be as quiet as mice?
Sorry, I was muted. And when I say genius shit, it's always when I've actually muted myself. I get what she's coming from. I do. But he enjoys school. One of the conversations was he didn't want to be homeschooled. He didn't want to be homeschooled. And he knew when he went to his dad's, he was going to be homeschooled. Again, I don't live there. It's just what they have said. He enjoyed social interaction. He wanted friends. But there's no reason to go around and make it sound like he's some sort of shit eater that sits in the corner and doesn't know what to do. Look at what Chris and Katie put him through. Making him wear pull-up diapers. Not letting him do things online. Now, I'm not saying going to Pornhub. I'm not saying that. But what's the big deal if the kid wants to play a game? You don't have to let him talk to other people. There's ways to play games, and you don't have to talk to other people. Kids don't want to go to online school. There was things he wanted to do, and he was not allowed to do it. As you can tell, I'm not on either side. You're never going to see me with a Team Proud Feet or a Team Seth shirt. Remember a long time ago when the Twilight series came out and people were like, I'm Team Edward, I'm Team Jacob. Or when Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston broke up and he started shagging with Angelina Jolie and people were like, I'm Team Jennifer, I'm Team Angelina. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not doing that. No.
I don't think a school would do that. I believe Sebastian was well able and capable of being around friends and playmates, even if they were loud. If Sebastian couldn't handle loud kids and noisy play, then I'm sure he would have been homeschooled. It just doesn't add up. And this is why I have a feeling that maybe the Proudfoots are the ones that are using Sebastian's autism as an excuse not to search. But I could be wrong. This is why I feel that in a situation like this, it would have been best to talk to the teachers at Sebastian's school and maybe even his classmates to get a better understanding of how he reacts in social settings, like during breaks or while playing on the school grounds. If Katie and Chris told law enforcement that searches would confuse Sebastian, that's something they should have taken with a grain of salt. Law enforcement should have.
Again, this is her opinion, and I love this opinion. Lisa opinion said, I'm Team Sebastian. Definitely. Definitely. And people that are 100% Team Sebastian and want to go through the facts, and I mean all the facts. Whoa, will you get ridiculed? It's like you have to pick a side. You have to pick a side. You have to pick a side. For one, I think Chris Proudfeet resented the shit out of Sebastian. I don't think he wanted his ass around, because he had his own little vendetta going on to get custody of his daughter, to do a one-upper on Nina. I don't think that Seth was 100% set up to take care of Sebastian. So we have a lot going on here. We have people coming unglued that Chris hit him with the belt. Well, yeah, no shit. He shouldn't have hit him with the belt. But they forgive Seth knocking him upside the head with an open fist. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. You don't get to do that. You don't hand out your son's phone number. You don't do that. All right, we're going to go back. Well, I went back too far. You know what? I will. I will start with this. There is a great channel, Hindsight 2002, that's been doing a lot of research. Not bullshit research. Not bullshit. But going through old news clips. And that's my bread and butter. Not as in it makes me money. But that's my jam. Because the answers are in the beginning and what led up to it. Okay? And something led up to this disappearance.
15-year-old Sebastian Rogers in Sumner County. Peyton Kennedy has been at the command post in Hendersonville all morning long. She's live there now with an update on day 5 of the search. Peyton.
The past 5 days have been a non-stop effort, from talks with the FBI to the TBI and local law enforcement agencies on the ground. This really has been a massive response. And while we unfortunately have not received any official update today in terms of leads or evidence, we've been keeping track of activity here at the command post and beyond. Most recently, around 10 a.m., the Emergency Management Agency as well as police brought a number of trucks, an ATV, a raft outside of Sebastian's home, as well as a dog that was sniffing around the property. It was unclear why they returned to the home with those specific supplies. Earlier in the morning, we were able to join members of the Greenbrier Fire Department as they went out to search on foot. They were working through a wooded area behind the command post about 3 miles south. They also turned on their tracking devices so they can maintain a map of what has and what hasn't been investigated. Otherwise, we do know that the first responders here are going to be receiving a warm meal tonight.
Good. They should. I remember a few people were pissed about that. They were like, what are they doing getting a warm meal? Sebastian doesn't have a warm meal. Because if you're going to do that type of searching, hunting, the whole 9 yards, you got to have something to eat. People drive me nuts. Angel P said, I'm still with Peter Hyatt. Girl, me too. I cannot get all of that out of my head. And actually, let's do a get well real quick to Peter Hyatt. He has got, he has an affliction, let me put it that way, a disease, and he needs some prayers from us. Beck Carter says no one just vanishes. True. True. Unless someone makes them vanish, or they just don't want to be found. Remember, Sebastian is 15, high IQ. He knows how to put things together. There was issues going on in that house. Confirmed. Confirmed. There were things that were going on. So did someone make him vanish? Or did he make himself vanish? And no, I don't mean suicide.
Courtesy of donations from Live Love Nashville. Community is encouraged to continue checking their property in pairs, continue checking their surveillance footage, send any of that if it has information over to the sheriff's office or to the TBI. Live in Hendersonville, Peyton Kennedy, News 2.
One longtime business owner whose restaurant is just a half mile from where Sebastian lives says he has never seen this large of a response in his several decades in that community.
Well, they're all pulling in the same direction. You know, that's a big thing. Is in our country and the community and local government is all split and on anything you discuss, except this. And they're not split on this. They're all putting forth effort to find them. And
can I please go hug this old man? Please. Can I please just give him a big old kiss on the cheek?
hope everything turns out for the best.
As the search for Sebastian continues, we will provide updates as we get more information. You can also find additional updates and photos online at WKRN.com.
News 2 at 6, I'm Haley Wilgus. Investigators are using every tool they have on the 5th day of searching for a 15-year-old boy with autism in Sumner County. Sebastian Rogers was last seen on February 26th at his home in Hendersonville.
Hold on. Video said, don't forget about the card game at Chris's friend's house the night before. I heard something about that in a Facebook group, but then it was said that was like a month before. Because as of right now, we have nothing factual, remember factual, to say that Chris was at the house. He was in Memphis working. Now, I know some people don't like how he approached it with his boss when he had to leave to go to Hendersonville. So an actual date would help me immensely. And in cases like this, my mind gets blown because no facts are facts. No evidence is evidence. Coincidence is evidence. It all comes together. Nani said, my understanding is that the card poker game was the Friday night before Sebastian's disappearance. So he came home to play cards and then left out to go back to work, had the 3-hour phone call and all that. See, we need more information on that. Because all I know is what they have said and what the police have said.
where he is believed to have walked away from. The quest to find him has been extensive. News 2's Tori Gessner is joining us live from the command center to explain what tools investigators have used today. Tori.
Well, Haley, we know investigators have shifted their search efforts to the west of the original search grid. We also noticed some activity around Sebastian Rogers' home today. There was a bloodhound sniffing around the property and also crews in wetsuits with oxygen tanks. But since we've had no update from law enforcement at all today, it's unclear what they were doing there or why. Now, we do know, despite the 5-day search, investigators say there have been no confirmed sightings of Sebastian on surveillance cameras or doorbell video, and there's been no evidence found in the woods or bodies of water. First responders are still asking neighbors to only search their own properties in pairs. They're encouraged to look in places where a child might hide, like under tarps, in sheds.
And we heard that in Summerwell's case. Tarps, sheds, search your own property. So where did this come from where they said not to search? That is ridiculous. I'm not saying law enforcement as a whole, because they all do different things, but investigators particularly like information. They do. They like it. They like tips. They want people to search. They don't want them climbing Mount Everest for them to have to go find them. They don't want anyone to get hurt. So if you're in a rough terrain, they don't want someone to fall down and then they got someone else to look for. It's always smarter to search with someone else. I've said that to Terry Lynn many times. Don't go by yourself. So who is the they that said not to search?
Inside boats. One woman on the board for Autism Tennessee says autistic children often leave their caretakers to get away from certain stimuli or to go towards something they're drawn to. She knows firsthand because she's an autistic self-advocate.
It's so easy to put myself in that person's shoes, to say, like, I was young and I was not an eloper, but I understand the impulse and the feeling. And so, yeah, I've just been sort of feeling very sick and afraid. And I want a good outcome, but there's no guarantee.
Now, law enforcement have reiterated that their parents have been fully cooperative and there's no reason to believe any foul play. No word on when the search or how it will work over the weekend. Live in Hendersonville, Tori Gessner, News 2.
Thank you, Tori. Tonight, Sumner.
I agree. No evidence is evidence. No facts are facts. One thing I'm not going to buy is that he took off with no shoes. Sorry, never going to happen. I know there's some dum-dums out there going, well, we haven't seen a picture of him with shoes on. Yeah, look, we haven't seen any camera footage or anything of him leaving. Nothing. Nothing. It's got to exist somewhere. But no shoes? Get real. He had shoes on. Of course he did. Because he had a pair of shoes Katie didn't know about, which is very common for a 15-year-old. How many of you with teenagers currently or who have raised teenagers would find little surprises in their rooms? How many of you? It's like, where the hell did this come from? You can't positively tell law enforcement, no, I've done an inventory on all the shoes. I've done an inventory. I guarantee. I still think about a comment we had, about 7 months ago when a woman said, with the volatility between just what was going on in the household. Let me put it that way. She said it wouldn't surprise her, or actually she thinks, that on the way back from Texas Roadhouse, because we know the dogs didn't hit around the house. That's been verified. That she didn't just say, okay, if you're that damn smart, get out of the car and walk. You can find your way home. She gets home. She calls Chris to have this 3-hour conversation. She's going nutso about how Sebastian acted that day. They were getting into it. Mouthy ass teenager. I don't know. She takes her ass to bed, but she puts the dogs up, which she only put the dogs up if Chris was home. That's according to them, not me. Actually made sense to me. That was a great comment. All right. Again, this is from Hindsight 2020. Davidson County Sheriff speaks to Nick Barris on February 28th, 2024. Now, as we're going through this, put in here your opinion only. What do you think happened to Sebastian? Because all opinions here are welcome. Trust me, I'm not some frail flower that's going to go, that hurt my feelings, that hurt my feelings. Let me have it. I want to know what you think. I love the whole think tank thing.
Sumner County is involved with the search for that 15-year-old. I'm just curious, when it goes out in Ebolo, and as it is now, it's going on its third day of not finding this child. And the child, in my belief, could still, as an autistic child, be hiding somewhere, still be fearful. You always wonder at what point in the game, the consideration of maybe some type of foul play, which they have not said is the case yet. But do you ever have, if a neighboring county, when this happens, is there any involvement? And I'm sure the police department or the sheriff's office here, are you even aware of this? Would you have any contact with the sheriff there? Like, well, we can keep our eye out here in Davidson County. Have you heard anything at this point on this?
So good.
This is very odd to me. This is very odd to me that this interview was on February 28th, 2024. So a couple of days after Sebastian went poof, disappeared. But it's with the Davidson County Sheriff, not Sumner County. Just like when the FBI says he has ties to Clarksville, where Seth lives. Now help me with this. Seth works for Davidson County. Sumner County is who was called because he supposedly just walked out of his house in Hendersonville. FBI puts up their 50 grand and says ties to Clarksville. Just let that simmer for a second. Because it's got me all twisted.
Good question. A couple things. One that you would want to know, the birth father of this child works for us in this situation. Now, I don't know the relationship. There's a lot of conversation about that, but he is an officer with us, been here a year or so. That's not information from him coming to us. We understand that that's the case. We always get asked to participate and help in these types of situations. Some version of it. It could be, will you assist in helping? We have 2 staff members who work for us who have, in their private life, they have dogs that search, and so they go out, volunteer their time. They've been up there the whole time helping on their own. But we have we have to be really careful because it's their private dog. It's not the sheriff's office stuff, but they volunteer in doing that. We have other folks in our special operations response teams who go out and volunteer their time and help.
And it's interesting you say this. Our understanding was that the boy's biological parents are separated or no longer married, and I think his mother may have remarried, and he may have a stepbrother now along those lines. Just with regard, and that is interesting that he happens to be a deputy, or is he at this point? I can imagine. Have you talked with him? Is he off now helping over there? How is he handling this?
Yeah, I haven't talked to him or about him. It came to me yesterday, the day before, I guess, that the biological father is an officer with us, but and I think he's been here about a year or so. But other than that, I don't know much of the relationship. And again,
would he take time off? Would you give him time off?
Sure. I mean, he and I would assume if again, this is a weird situation because it's not him saying, "Hey, I need off. My son is missing." That's not happened yet that I know of. But we have 1,000 employees, so it's a little hard for us to even know that. We have a woman who handles our retention, basically works with people who are going through all sorts of issues, and she did put it out. I understand yesterday to our some of our folks to let them know that he is actually the biological father. So that was all brewing yesterday. We had folks who were up there, like I said, with their dogs.
Okay, this is very strange to me because this is the sheriff of Davidson County. And he says, he's trying to go through the family dynamics, which some people will say, that's not our business. That's not our business. That's just their business, Brooks. Why are you getting into that? When a child goes missing, the family dynamics are uber important. 100% they are. So he says the stepfather who acts as the biological father. What gave this man that impression? I'm interested to know. What gave him that impression? Who reported that? Listen to it again. And again, we're not hating on Seth. We're not hating on Katie. We're not hating on Chris. We're just here for the truth and for Sebastian.
It's a little hard for us to even know that. We have a woman who handles our retention, basically works with people who are going through all sorts of issues, and she did put it out. I understand yesterday to our some of our folks to let them know that he is actually the biological father. So that was all brewing yesterday. We had folks who were up there, like I said, with their dogs. We've had other folks who are kind of in crews or that are potentially going to help. And it just kind of depends on what we're doing and what we're looking for. And be a good Samaritan, you want to help, and we do a lot of that. But it would be wrong for me to sit here and say we send people every time someone is missing. We kind of wait and see what our roles need to be, and Amber Alert stuff was going off, of course, all over the place. So
we are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Davidson County Sheriff Darren Hall's with us. We're going to get to your phone calls in a moment. I just had one quick follow-up question with regard to this missing child in Sumner County. You've handled in the past, or your office has, and your deputies, missing children cases, along probably in partnership with the police department. What is it, and how do you approach it? With a period of time. Right now, the thinking is this child, autistic, perhaps wandered away. But as more time passes, when do you start considering the possibility of other options?
Yeah,
I'm going to pause it right there because epic fail. This child missing, autistic. Now listen, if somebody's got one friggin' leg, you're going to be like, oh, by the way, they only have one leg. So they can't hop too damn far, all right? Or this person's in a wheelchair because they have no use of their spinal cord. So if you see somebody wheeling around, but this whole making people with autism sound like they can't find their ass with two hands and a flashlight is irritating as hell. You've got to be kidding me. Zakali said, that's just my opinion, though. I don't trust any of the parents, to be clear. How can you trust anything when we don't know if we're coming or going? You hear this, someone reads something on Facebook, then they jump into a chat and they're down everyone's throat going, that's not true because I just heard this. Chris and Katie aren't saying shit. And with the help of a few people, Seth has talked in circles. It's confusing as hell. Could you just imagine what these investigators are going through? They're probably like, what the hell are you talking about? 1 minute it's this, 1 minute it's that. Infuriating.
You know, with a period of time. Right now, the thinking is this child, autistic, perhaps wandered away. But as more time passes, when do you start considering the possibility of other options?
Yeah, and I don't have expertise.
Again, general. I know you're not involved in Sumner.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking back as we were waiting to come back on, but I remember, this was a long time ago, I remember our staff going out searching for Janet March's body. And then I'm just going through stories back. And of course, the silver alerts, you have a lot of different times where there's people that, you know, I think personally that always worries me when you have someone who is very elderly who may not know exactly how to get back and you know, very unlikely that foul play is in that situation as much as it is just worry that they're lost and can't get to. In the children thing, to me, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, how can this individual be, you know, alive and functioning, you know, at some stage of just the natural needs for an individual. And so, you know, I guess I always think of it this way. It's just extra sets of eyes, bodies walking, talking, asking in the streets. Our staff, just like everyone else, you know, would like to volunteer and help. That's what we do. We're usually a part of a large team sweeping areas. And, you know, but again, you know, look how big an area. And if you don't have some idea of where you're looking in some simple version of what you're doing, it's incredibly difficult to find.
And entirely possible that the child could have wandered. But I mean, I'm just wondering, to me, and
Okay, I'm going to interrupt Nick here for a second. Because Kylie, am I saying that right, by the way? I'm just loving your comments today. That's the reason I keep picking on you. Not picking on you in a mean way. She said, I think some YouTubers have backed off this case due to the circus it's become and almost due to lawsuits going out and whatnot. Oh, there's many reasons. And other people have stayed away from it because they don't like the BS. They don't like the BS. He said, she said, he said, she said. Well, I heard this. Well, I heard that. Or my favorite is, that's not true. That's not true. Well, you don't know unless you were there. What do you mean? Hang on, I got to sneeze. Am I the only person that has to look at the light to get a sneeze to come out? Like if I feel like a sneeze is coming on, it's nothing for me to go outside and look directly at the damn sun to get it to come out. But yeah, injunctions, protective orders, cease and desist. They said not to search. No, this is America. No one's going to tell me not to walk around and look down at the damn ground. You stupid? You stupid? What do you mean? Maybe I'm taking a damn walk. Getting some fresh air. Not your business what I'm doing out here. They said not to search. Very sad what's going on. Because I think it really has affected Sebastian. And now it's more of a gladiator type of thing. Like, well, let's see if I get a letter. Let's see if this happens to me.
in my career following this, I just don't believe that a child completely vanishes without a trace and is never found. Okay, meaning on their own. And that's my take, is that the longer, and I'm not referring to the Sumner case, it's still early enough that I don't go there. But I'm telling you, if there's no trace of this child found in a week, or even this time next week, I will have serious questions about whether or not foul play was involved, because even if the child is not alive, eventually maybe you find, oh my gosh, wandered into the body of water. We found his body. Oh, how tragic. And you pull him, he wandered in there, or he fell down a ravine and killed himself, or something like that. But short of finding anything, that's why I think someone was involved to hide a situation.
Well, right. I mean, at some point,
Okay. Love him or hate him, Nick Barris does know what he's talking about. A child doesn't just go poof because someone is responsible for them. And in this case, custodial parent is Katie. Her husband is Chris. So, if Sebastian, let's say, was 25 and decided just to not go to work one day and take off on some kind of sojourn and want to live off the grid like the damn Unabomber, not really a lot you can do about that. But I go back to this. This is what Seth's people are saying now through their investigation. Sebastian is presumed alive and he is an endangered runaway. Woo!
You know, I'm like you. I don't understand how someone, you know, that is not sophisticated, and I'm talking about in living, you know, in a survivalist or something like that. I mean, that's not the case.
Ooh, I got to answer a quick question. Harley Davidson said, what's the perks and the access? You will see on our community tab, things only for members, videos only for you guys, shows only for members. It's a load of fun.
But short of finding anything, that's why I think someone was involved to hide a situation.
Well, right. I mean, at some point, you know, I'm like you. I don't understand how someone, you know, that is not sophisticated, and I'm talking about in living, you know, in a survivalist or something like that. I mean, that's not the case. I mean, how are you going to live, and where are you going to live in today's world where, you know, I don't believe you'd have the skills to accomplish that. Therefore, something tragic or bad is going to happen, or it feels like that as the days go by. And I'm like you. You would think the body would be found if it was a fall or some tragic event in a reasonable area around the house. That's not hard to do. Once that is exhausted, then you have to go to, I think, the next step, which is foul play, and the body is potentially hidden or gone. And I'm, you know, I'm just like everyone else. I mean, I can't fathom what that feels like if you genuinely don't know what happened to your child. I just can't imagine what that would feel like. On the other hand, you know, it would be very difficult for me to see a 15-year-old child be able to pull off hiding from people for extended period of time. That's just a very unlikely situation. But, you know, I wish and hope for the best. I'm like you. I watch these stories with kind of a parental eye, and then some part of the job I'm in, and then just a citizen who you're sitting there going, man, what in the world?
And when you do go to the idea of foul play, I guess, and I've talked about this in the
Yeah, Nick has been talking about foul play since probably the day after Sebastian went missing. And I don't blame him for that. Because when kids, let's say, run away, wander off, they leave some kind of trail behind. You have heat-seeking drones, ground-penetrating drones. But we're talking about 5'5", 130 pounds, Sebastian is. Now, where in the world are you going to hide him? We had a video on the show yesterday about a little boy in Tulsa, not far from me, Orlando Huger Jr. Some say he was 11, some say he was 10. Effed up situation when your own mama doesn't know how old you are. But hey, we've seen that before. Beaten to death, buried, dug up, burnt, remnants of the burning were put into a sewer system. All right? This was a very, 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 very long process. Nobody said that he was missing. Go check it out. It's on the channel. In this case, Sebastian was seen that night. So things like that couldn't go down in such a short amount of time. But there is enough time to do other things like hiding. And we have a very contentious relationship between Katie and Seth. We can see it because these two are not exactly on Team Sebastian. Now, I'm going to get crucified for saying that. I'm going to get a lot of comments from people going, Seth's the only one looking for him. Look at what happened to Katie. I know that. I got it. However, the best way for Katie and Seth, as the parents, to find their son is to work together. Katie has a lot more answers than Chris and Seth could ever have, considering she was there and spent the whole day with him.
The past, say with the Joe Clyde Daniels case, which in some ways is similar. He was a much younger child, but that what you'll do when you make that transition to maybe looking into the possibility of foul play is then you vet anyone close to, from the parents to the neighbors, to a friends, to the possibility somehow, some way that there is a stranger that maybe picked him up. That's what it is. All options are on the table, correct?
I would say yes. I think the other thing about that is that begins to take a long time. I mean, a lot of these cases are years. I mean, look at some of this to solve. Once it becomes potential criminal activity, everything changes. I mean, it is trying to prove and trying to get interviews and trying to get, it's years and years. I mean, sometimes before all that, and that's what right now is trying to hope that the kid is alive and can be saved. That's first. The second part of it is, once you determine or believe it's foul play, everything changes. I mean, from lawyers in the middle of it to, potential, the law enforcement capacity once is to prove there was a crime.
So often when there is foul play, it does come back to someone who's close to the child. When there's foul play, and again, I'm not saying that's the case here in Sumner County. One other thing I was going to say, these days, so many homes, especially in neighborhoods, have Ring cameras and everything else. Would you imagine part of the investigation?
That's a problem. And one of the first things I said, especially when I spoke with one of the neighbors that said Secret Service was there. He sent me a picture of the card, of the business card he was left with. And they wanted the footage from his Ring cam. He's got 3 around his house. I know JLR spoke to another neighbor. I think her name is Bobby. So how is no camera picking it up if he just walked out? Did he make it home? Miss North's musings said, I think Seth tried to control Katie through Sebastian, and that's why Chris dealt with Seth. I 100% agree with that. Zakali said they're not even sure of the exact shirt he was wearing that day. One of 3 different shirts, Chris said. I think that's just strange. And I think it's damn strange that Chris even tries to say what he had on when Chris wasn't there. That'd be like me saying Zakali has on a pink and yellow polka dot shirt right now. I'm not with her. How would I know? It's insane.
Is if the child is said to have wandered off, going and canvassing all the homes, including, I don't know about the home when he left, to see if there's any video of him walking along the road and how well they have that covered, and whether or not they see him or not.
That and the other thing is I don't know his capabilities with phones, but there's so much of that today in the communication systems. And is it completely shut off? Did he have one? Was he using it? When's the last time? Where? Even if it's just him looking on his phone, that's not super hard to figure out anymore. Where is that device? You know, those things matter. And I don't know the surroundings, but it amazes me that really everything in this country is being videoed somehow. There's an angle to some camera.
You would think there'd be cameras,
Right.
maybe if he wandered down a road or
Right.
something. That would be part of it, wouldn't it?
Right.
You'd go check, see if there's video.
Sure. I mean, and even if the police aren't doing that, the neighbors are worried. You know, they're trying to help.
If I lived next door and I had a Ring camera and I heard this, I would go to my camera and say, well, last night, do I see anything?
That's right. And then you would expect, like I said, not even from a criminal investigation, just the kind of the Samaritan and the families around the community are wanting to say, hey, I found this on my video, or even if they didn't tape it, I saw him walking, or you just think you would feel and hear some of that.
So far, nothing.
Hopefully, yeah.
And that's what we'll see how it plays out. And I hope.
Okay. Nick said, we'll see how it plays out. Now, mind you, this was, over 8 months ago. Rory Logs. What a cool name. Said, if you truly are a friend of Crabtree, I'm not. I've talked to the dude one time in my life. Please encourage him to take his own son off his recent video about Body in Cumberland. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to get involved in that. No offense, but no way. If I happen to talk to him, I might say, hey, what is this about? But I doubt I will be. I doubt it. Well, you guys, I hate to cut you short, but I have got this horrible whatever it is going on, and my head feels like it is about to explode. I keep sneezing. I'm coughing. I think OJ is sick too. OJ, are you sick? You play Kunta Mama. Let me see. Your nose is very wet. So you guys have a great rest of your Friday, a great weekend, and we're doing Metabolism Monday. This Monday, 9 a.m. It's going to be kind of a twist on the show because I'm really going to talk about, here I go again, the case in Utah with another case in Utah. This is in the Summer Wells case, by the way, which I think needs to be talked about more. However, I don't use other people's devices. So be back here 9 a.m. Monday morning Central Time. Again, it'll be an open panel. Don't be shy. I don't bite. You guys are the absolute best. Thank you so much for being here. Love you to pieces.